Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Julie and I are going to get started. We're just after 7:30, so thanks so much for joining us on this Tuesday night. So I'm Katie Kitchens. I work in the Center for Student Success here at the University of Hartford, and that's what we're going to talk to you all about tonight. And Julie, do you want to? I gave it away because you're Julie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Spring. I also work in the Center for Student Success, and we are very excited to be here with you tonight.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining. So we'll keep this short and sweet and give you a little bit of a rundown of what we're about, who we are in the Center for Student Success, and we'll have some time as well for you to ask any questions. So we'll keep an eye on the Q&A throughout. We'll try to answer questions as we go, and we'll have some time at the end to address anything that we haven't gotten to yet. So with that, I will just tell you a little bit about kind of our overall philosophy. So at the University of Hartford, we are all about student success. We have an entire division just about student success that was really created to bring together academics and student life under kind of one-stop shop umbrella so that students can really get all of the assistance that they need with that transition from high school to college in one place. So we're really excited to be a part of the Center for Student Success because the center is kind of the hub. So there's all these different departments that exist under the Division of Student Success, including residential life, including the Center for Student Success, including the tutoring services and all these, but the center is like that one-stop shop. If you don't know where to go, you come to the Center for Student Success and we'll help you get what you need. So at a lot of universities, I think at most universities, student life and academics are like totally separate, siloed places. And at UHeart, we come together. We feel like that's what's best for the students. That's what gives everybody the best experience, the greatest chances of success. And so we're just designed that way that it's all really well integrated. So we recognize, every student is different, all the needs are different, and we just want to work together to make sure that we can help students as best as possible. So that transition time can be it's tough, it's a big deal to leave high school and to venture off to college. So we just want to, play that supportive role, particularly in the first year, but we help students, throughout all 4 years. And I've seen grad students, so I mean, it doesn't end with undergrad. So Julie, you can take it away.
Sure. So one of the biggest things we do in the Center for Student Success is really working on that first year advising program. So we like to make sure that we're making the connections right away. So, you're seeing us at an event such as this, or a fall open house. So we're beginning to work with families when the student is either a junior or a senior, depending on when you are in the process. But then we really get connected that spring prior to your arrival to Hartford. So as you start to get into those accepted students days, you'll see more of us at the center. And then as soon as you make that deposit, right away, you will be connected with someone at the center as your first year advisor. So what ends up happening is everything is laid out by school or college at the University of Hartford, as you may or may not already know. And our advising program works the same way. So myself, I'm actually a first year advisor for the College of Engineering, Technology, and Architecture. So again, yay, CETA. So again, as soon as a student makes that deposit, then we're already beginning to think about who we're going to assign them to as an advisor to make sure we're getting that connection right away. We don't want there to be any gap between the admission office and the center. We want to make sure that you feel supported all the way throughout the process. So as you can see, when we talk about a student working with us as a first year advisor, we're going to do a variety of things. So one of the things they do is they attend a course with us called US 190. It is a first year success seminar. So throughout the fall semester, they see us once a week, and we're going to go over a ton of these different things during that course and during initial meetings that we have with the student or meetings throughout the semester. So we talk about, as Katie mentioned earlier, the adjustment to college. That's huge. We spend usually the first couple of weeks just addressing things like, hey, we know we should be giving you this information, but let's talk about how you're actually feeling. How is the transition? What's going right? What's not going right? Things like that. Obviously, we will make sure that we're going over things like time management, study skills, how to communicate with your professors or other staff, all of those different things. A main focus that we will also have, especially in the fall semester, is course registration. We make sure that a student is ready to hit the ground running in that spring semester. So we teach them all about the course registration process and really walk them through it that first semester to make sure that for the semesters following, they can do that all on their own after that. And then last but certainly not least, as Katie also mentioned, we are really that one-stop shop. So we're going to address all of your questions, all of your concerns, whether it's needing resources, needing to get connected to a tutor or a counselor, or whether it's something that's completely what might seem like out of our purview, which is things like financial and financial aid, billing, things like that. Believe it or not, we handle all of those as well. Sometimes we know when to pass the ball, but we will certainly get you started and make sure that you always have that single touch point in that first place of contact.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julie. So I will get us going on a little bit more about the first year success seminar. So Julie touched on this when she was talking about our advising program, because in that first semester, the first year success seminar is really central to what our advisors and students are working on together. There are individual meetings that are taking place, of course, between students and their advisors. Some students meet with their advisors every week. Some students see their advisors once or twice a semester. It really depends on the student. There's not a limit to how frequently a student can see their advisor. Certainly not a limit to the emails. We're in communication with students in so many different ways, just depending on what they need. And obviously this semester, things are weird. This is not a typical semester. We're still in a global pandemic. And so we're adjusting and we're operating a little bit differently, but in ways that, we're still able to make all those strong connections to our students, still operating the first year success seminar course. So it is a 1-credit course. So they do earn a credit by taking that class, and it's required for our students for graduation. And that's really because we have found that students who, are going through this class with their advisor, they're so well connected. The advisor lays eyes on them every week, even if it's not one of the students that they're going to meet with individually every week. They know, okay, I can see you, I can see that you're coming to class, you're keeping track of things, you're able to ask questions, we're talking about these different things that you might be encountering. Maybe it's, really, really relevant to your life that week, or maybe it's not relevant for another 2 weeks, but it's like, oh good, I'm really glad my advisor talked to me about that in my US 190 class. So we think that touch point is really essential. As Julie mentioned already, the curriculum is centered on really helping students get acclimated to UHeart. So some of this is getting acclimated to college, right? It's making that transition, knowing how to keep track of your classes when maybe in high school you probably have 8 straight hours worth of class, and then you go to your sports, and then you go home, you do your homework, you eat dinner, somebody's kind of telling you what to do. You get to college and you might have a class at 9 and then a 3-hour break and then a class at 1 o'clock. And a lot of people don't know what to do with those 3 hours. As I've never had so much freedom, but I've also never had so much to do. And so it's a lot of work to manage that time. And so we talk a lot about time management, but really that's why, is because it's so much more effortful than people realize, especially when students are coming from an environment where that time has really been managed for them, either by, school requirements or after school requirements, by living at home with mom and dad. So there's just a lot more to think about that maybe was unconscious before. So really the goals of the success seminar is that successful transition to university life, but also successful transition to University of Hartford. There are some things about us that are just unique to Hartford. And so we want to make sure that they know how we work and what are our traditions and what brings us together as a community and what are our specific ways that students can get involved and strengthen their support networks across campus, be in clubs and organizations, take on leadership roles in their halls and in their organizations, get involved with Greek life, whatever their interest might be. Our class and our advising support network is really there to help them figure that out. We're also working really, really hard on resilience, wellness, and stress management in our class. Not just this semester, but I think it's all the more important right now, in all of our lives, to focus on wellness and stress management. But we're always, working on that with our students. We have so many different activities and workshops and things that we can do with students, but a lot of that is happening one-on-one. When advisors will have a touch point with a student where it's like, okay, well, we were talking about this last week, like what ended up happening, how did you navigate that difficult situation, and then pointing out when a student is able to navigate difficult situations independently and use resources that that they were made available to them, and really congratulating them for that, so that they understand, I really have some agency over what's going on here, and I can take these resources and actually do some good for myself. It's not just things that are happening to me. I have control, I have agency, and I'm empowered to make a change and a difference in my world. So that's a really big focus, both in the class and out of the class. So we're also having a huge focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion within the classroom. So, and just throughout our campus, we partner with our Office of Student Engagement and Inclusion. They oversee all the diversity multicultural programs and also all the student activities and Greek life and everything. So they're a really major hub for student involvement. But we are also working in the classroom on having difficult conversations, whether that's I don't like your stuff on my side of the room, or sometimes more challenging topics. So we're really trying to help students get comfortable having more difficult conversations, because that's life, and we all need to be able to kind of operate in the world where we need to get comfortable with our discomfort. So that's a huge focus for us as well, in helping students make that transition. So I'll give myself a little talking break and let Julie take over for a moment.
Thank you. Actually, great lead in, Katie. In my class tomorrow for the US 190, I actually have a guest speaker coming in from Wesleyan University to talk about healthy relationships, difficult conversations, DEI, Title IX. So that was perfect timing on your part, as that's actually the focus for this week, because it's, again, we want to make sure that it's front and center at all times. So as Katie also mentioned, she touched upon, this is a unique time right now. We're concerned about monitoring a student from a 360 point of view at all times, but especially now. We have, again, hybrid courses, in-person courses, remote courses. So we're seeing some students every week, all the time in front of us. For me personally, in one of the courses I have a group of students that are with me, but then I have 5 that are international students, so they're remote. So we need to have an effective way for everybody on campus to be able to be in communication with each other, to make sure that we're monitoring the students the best we possibly can. But we also need to have a platform for the students to feel as though they can reach out and know that they can do a one shout outreach, and everyone's going to hear what needs to happen. So Compass is that platform for us at the University of Hartford. We have a couple of different platforms that students will utilize. You may or may not have heard about something called Blackboard. That's where a lot of their work is handled, their course outlines, their syllabi, things like that. Self-service is something else that we use at the university, where that houses a lot of your stuff like money and rules and regulations and things like that. Compass is really the, I need help and I need someone to be monitoring that I need help. Or it's a way for us to also say, hey, you're doing a great job, and we're not sure if anybody has told you you're doing a great job, so this is going to be the day you're going to hear what a great job you're doing. So it's a great platform for the students to be in. You can see listed all the different offices that are connected within Compass. So again, one of the things I did this evening while we were waiting to get started, I thought, oh, let me get a little bit of work done. I went through and I reviewed what are called flags. So you'll see under that second bullet where it talks about flags, raise your hand, or kudos, as I mentioned. So flags is when a faculty member is thinking, okay, something's just not quite right for this student in a given situation. Maybe it's their attendance hasn't been what it should be. Maybe it's they're missing assignments. It could be something as simple as, I had one tonight that said, Julie, I know we're just getting to know the students, but the students seemed off to me last week, and I just want you to check in. Okay, so they've only known them for 5 weeks or so, but something triggered that faculty member to think something's just not quite right. So what happens is when a flag is raised, that information goes to the student saying that there's a concern, but then we as the advisor or a faculty advisor moving on down the road will get this information and all the details about what the faculty member wants us to be aware of. So what happens is then we as the advisor go through and read everything and figure out, okay, I was able to, with some of them, because they're my advisees and I see them every week, I was able to address some of them right away. Oh, I saw so-and-so last Thursday at a meeting, and I know exactly what's happening, and I can let the faculty member know that everything's okay, it was just a little blip. Or we have a bunch that we may have to reach out to the student and say, hey, there's some of us who are concerned. What resources do you need? How can we help? And are we not doing something? Are we doing too much of something? Really, what do we need to make this better for you? The other thing is, like I said, the kudos. There are a ton of times throughout a semester where a faculty member can just say, you're doing a great job. you did a wonderful job on that assignment, or you aced that exam, or you volunteered and participated in class way more times than anybody else did. And it's just a nice change for a student to get an email that isn't, you're missing this, you should have done that, you have to come here. It's just a nice message where someone's saying, you did a great job. And last but certainly not least, within the platform, a student can raise their hand. So they can say, again, in more of a global fashion, I need help. And they may not even have to say why they need help. It may just be, I need help. Could anyone out there who's listening help me? And again, they sometimes get more help than they want at that point, because there may be different people who reach out and make sure that everything is being addressed. But again, it's just a wonderful system to track students and their progress. The other thing that I think Katie will agree with me, the thing that we like the most is that it keeps track of conversations. So if Katie happens to meet with a student because she runs into them in the hallway, she can run over to Compass and she can put a note in. So now the next time I go in to meet with said student, or I go to put an email out, the first thing I do is check the notes in their Compass file, because I don't want to reiterate something that they've already had addressed and make them feel like we're coming down on them about a lot of things. So the nice thing is that in the past, we didn't always know that someone else had addressed an issue. Now we have a minute by minute record of exactly what's happening with each student. So it's great and has helped so much with communication within the university. So Compass, 2 thumbs up for Compass.
I do agree with you. And just a note on the kudos. I mean, it's so cool, and I do think it's meaningful for our students when they receive a kudos. And in the last, so we just got through a progress report. Basically, we proactively solicited all flags and kudos from faculty, particularly for first and second year students. And we do that periodically throughout the semester. A faculty member can always raise a flag or give a kudos like anytime they want to, but we will be proactive about it a couple of times, just to make sure, hey, we're just putting this in your face, making sure that, we're giving faculty an opportunity, enough tools to be able to tell us if something's not going well. But wasn't it like 80% of what they wrote back were kudos about, like, out of the whole thing? It was so high. So, I mean, I think our faculty and our students are loving the ability to say, like, great job, in a formal way, but it's fun. They get it's a star. So it feels good that they can see when they log into their Compass account. One additional note on Compass is this also is a place where students can schedule appointments with a lot of different offices around campus. I realize I always forget to say this, but I do think it's a neat feature that they can log in themselves, not only view any flags and kudos that they might have, and that's where they would go to, raise their hand if they want to, say, I need some help, but they can also see all of the different support offices around campus, including our office, including the tutoring center, including career services, like lots of different places, and see what the office hours are and actually schedule a time to go and meet with somebody through the platform. So it's does so much for us, and we're really excited about that feature. Okay, so now it's your turn. If you have any questions about anything we did talk about, anything we didn't talk about, really, I mean, we're the place that you go for questions. So anything you guys have at the moment that you want to, have us address, or even if we can't address it tonight in true Center for Student Success fashion, we will figure out the answer and get right back to you. So you can just use that Q&A and let us know, what's on your mind. So I'll give it a little time and see if we get any takers.
Sure. Oh, I see one just popped in. So do we want to simply read the question and then answer them live? Is that what's best, Katie?
Yeah, let's get started that way. And if it gets to be too overwhelming, we might have to switch to typed responses and just kind of cruise through them. But yeah, so I can take the first question. That how many students are assigned to one advisor. So since these are full-time advisors, so in a lot of universities and after the freshman year, this looks a little bit different, that you would have a faculty advisor. So but when you have a faculty advisor, the caseloads are smaller because faculty's time is divided between teaching and advising. So when you have a full-time advisor, the caseloads are larger, but that's all we're doing all day, every day, all the time, is working with our students. And so usually we average between 90 and 110, so like right around 100 students in each advising caseload. Would you say that's, I mean, it ebbs and flows because it is all done by major and by college, so that we're able to group students together with students who are also in their program. It helps with advising and with getting to know people who are in their same classes, but just about 100.
Great.
Julie, do you want to take the second one since I stole the first?
I sure do. So the second question is, how involved are you after the freshman year? I imagine that is kind of a global, how involved is the Center for Student Success after that first year? So I can tell you that we are now in the first rendition of that, if you will. So we did the first year advising last year. So now we each have a set of sophomores that are our former advisees, and then now our new caseload. So I can tell you that in an ideal world, it would be a lovely handoff. We would send them over to the faculty advisor and to the colleges, and they would really hit the ground running and do their thing. I think the beauty of the center is that we work so hard in this first year to get so connected to our advisees that there are some that have a little trouble letting go. So we've kept a bunch, that still work with us. I can also say that there's a different comfort level in working with a staff member versus a faculty member occasionally. So I have some students who will reach out to me and say, I know so-and-so is my advisor. Can you just guide me on how to ask this question? Because for you, I just ask a question and I don't feel like I have to dress it up. So I'll coach them a little bit on how to dress up the question and then, kind of move them along. I had one, as a matter of fact, I had two of them reach out to me today. One was a scenario where it was an easy, I could tell she just simply forgot that she shouldn't be writing to me anymore. I CC'd her new advisor and was like, great question, but let's remember that you should be talking to Dr. So-and-so, and then passed it along. It's already been taken care of. I had another one who had a little bit more of a delicate question and was nervous because they haven't dealt with their new advisor for a long amount of time yet. So he had reached out and was like, I need a little support. I'm not sure how to do this. So he and I met and we talked about how you're gonna, handle it. So again, I think the thing we're gonna learn as a center is that we're really gonna have more of a first year, a little bit into your second year relationship, and then really pass you off at that point, and kind of see how it all plays out. But we're happy to do it. And as long as we can continue to balance all of our workloads, I don't think you'll ever see any one of us in the center say, nope, we can't answer that any longer. There's always going to be the time.
Absolutely. That's totally true. And there was another question, does your advisor stay with you for 4 years if you need or want them to? So related questions. I have students that I've been seeing since their first year, and I'm attached, they're attached, I'm attached. So we still check in, at least once a semester. And, the farther along that you get in your journey at Hartford, or really, anywhere, I think, but I see students grow so much from the first year to the final year. And, the things that they need you for in the first year, they don't need you for eventually. And we get them to this place where it's more of like a, hey, how you doing? How have you been? And they're so excited, just giving it like, I'm loving where I'm living, and I'm almost done. I've only got 5 classes left, and I'm graduating this year. And they just are so adult, and it's awesome to see that. I love to see that evolution. So we're happy to keep seeing our students, and helping out, like Julie said, with coaching, with talking, things through, with helping forge connections where needed. We also, as the Center for Student Success, really does registration and billing and payment questions for students throughout their 4 years and into grad school. So there's lots of reasons why students would keep coming back to the center, even for not advising purposes. They have a question about a bill, or they need to get registered, or they have, some signatures on a form they need processed. There's so many touch points where we would still continue to have connections with students. And I love when they come back and we know them from having really close relationships, in that first year. And so it's not kind of an anonymous person helping an anonymous person. It's like a, hey, how you been? Okay, you have a question. It's nice to keep those connections going. So that's that one. So Julie, do you want to talk about the question? There's a question, are you allowed to switch roommates if you do not get along? Do you want to take that, or do you want me to take it?
Sure, we could do a combination. I'll start it off, and then you can clean it up.
Cool.
So again, I think a thing that you'll continue to hear over and over from us at the center is that the transition to college is really an evolution, if you will. You have to remember that things aren't going to happen overnight. There's going to be a lot of different things coming at you as a student that you maybe didn't expect to happen or weren't prepared as to how to exactly handle them. But that's the part of the college experience. That's part of the growing experience. So do we want you to be in a living situation that you're not comfortable in? Absolutely not. But if you've lived with your roommate for 48 hours and you go to someone and say, I need to make a room switch, that's not going to happen quite as quickly either. So there's a process, there's a time frame at which you're allowed to make a roommate change. Generally, residential life, the RAs, the RDs, the resident assistants, the resident directors, they're going to ask that you try to give a situation a couple of weeks. You know, kind of figure out likes and dislikes, figure out patterns. Is this more of a, you just haven't gotten to know each other yet? Or is this a fundamentals about how you do things scenario where it's never going to work? If after a couple of weeks, maybe you've even had a conversation with one of the RAs or one of the staff, and you've gotten somebody else as a third party, you know, involved, then there could be situations where it would happen quicker than that, because again, there can be, you know, real fundamental things that aren't going to work for two individuals. But what we will always try to say to students is, let's try to work it out. Let's try to figure out why this isn't working. And could it be a situation that if you stick it out in a couple of months, you're going to be laughing and be so happy that you didn't part ways. But, you know, yes, I didn't want to just blanket say, yes, you can make a room switch if you need to. There are steps along the way, there are timelines, but certainly all of us will work with you throughout the process to make sure that you get what you need, because the ultimate goal, hopefully anywhere, but especially at the University of Hartford, is that we want you to be happy. We want you to be happy with your experience. We want this to be something that you talk about for the rest of your life, and we don't ever want it to be, oh, I had this horrible roommate. So we don't ever want that to be the story. So, you know, Katie, is there anything else you want to touch on about that?
For perhaps the first time ever, no, you covered it 100%. I'm very happy with that response. So yes, she covered it.
Wonderful.
I don't see any more questions in our Q&A at this moment. We'll give it maybe another minute. I know everybody's got busy schedules and we're scheduled from 7:30 to 8, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time. But if we have any more questions, I'm happy to address.
I have to say, this was great. I didn't expect it to go by quite so quickly. I looked over it a minute ago and I thought, oh, we only have a few minutes left.
I know. No, this was fun. I'm glad you guys were able to join us, and I'm not seeing anything else coming in. So I will say, you know, in closing, that it was a pleasure to kind of virtually meet all of you. I hope that you are attending more events throughout the fall and into the spring semester. I hope we see you on campus really soon, or at least get to see your faces in some way. So it's been fun. So thanks so much for, you know, gracing our homes with your presence tonight and letting us grace yours.
Thank you so much. Please, if there's anything that we can answer for you after this event, please reach out. We would be more than happy to answer questions or work with you, especially as you're going through the recruitment process. So please let us know if we can help.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thank you.